Welcome back to my views and news. Another video with new stories from Ethiopia and Sudan, new stories from Tigray, Amhara, Oromia regions. First story is from the Amhara region where a city police chief has been injured in the fight against Fano fighters. It seems that police tried to arrest Fano fighters. Was it an attempt by police to arrest Fano fighters, or Fano fighters carried out an ambush on police? We have details for you. Several casualties are being reported in this incident. Second story is about start of talks between Tigray interim government and Ethiopian federal government. The two have held talks in the past too. Last year, after talks, they signed a peace deal. Pretoria deal was signed, but talks with a new agenda have begun reportedly. What is the agenda? Which parties from Tigray are part of these negotiations? Thirdly, viewers, reorganization, disbandment of Ethiopian regional special forces. A few weeks ago, Ethiopian government announced that all regional special forces had been disbanded. They're being restructured. Special force members were going to be part of regional police and federal police, federal Ethiopian National Defense Force. This decision was immediately implemented in the Amhara region of Ethiopia, but people protested, rejected that decision. That led to start of protests in the Amhara region. I have a picture for you from a region where special force members are still operating in the uniforms. Earlier, I shared pictures from Afar and Somali regions. Now, from another region, a piece of evidence for you. Lastly, Sudan, viewers, where a few pictures for you from Chad, Sudan border. Chadian military can be seen helping Sudanese people on Sudanese territory. They are trying to evacuate people from Darfur. Secondly, RSF claims to have shot down two planes of Sudanese Air Force. And lastly, Rapid Support Forces are trying to take control of CRP's headquarters in Khartoum, in southern part of Khartoum. Two attacks have been carried out by Rapid Support Forces on CRP headquarters in the last 3 to 4 days. Several videos, pictures are coming in from this area. Firstly, viewers, a police chief has been wounded in a confrontation with Fano fighters. Yesterday, we saw that in Lalibela, hundreds of Fano fighters conducted a rally. They took out a rally. They commemorated the services of Amhara regional force former commander Assaminu Sege. Yesterday was 4th death anniversary of Assaminu Sege, who was killed in 2019. Back then, he was accused by Ethiopian government of plotting a coup in the Amhara region. It was second accusation against Assaminu Sege of plotting a coup. He was accused of a coup in 2009 as well. Assaminu Sege, during his tenure in 2019, organized Fano factions. So Fano factions adore him, they remember him. That is why in Lalibela we saw a rally. Hundreds of Fano fighters were seen marching to the cemetery where Assaminu Sege was buried. After the program in Lalibela came to an end, Fano fighters returned to different areas from where they had arrived in Lalibela. Lalibela is in North Wollo. When Fano fighters were returning from Lalibela, reportedly they were intercepted outside Moja city by regional police and Ethiopian federal forces. Moja is in North Wollo. To the west of Kobo is situated Moja. And outside Moja town, there was more than an hour long fighting between Fano fighters who were armed and security forces. In that clash, Moja city police chief was injured. One security official was killed too. How many Fano fighters killed, we don't know. But death of one security official is being confirmed. Question is, did Fano fighters enter Moja city and attack police there? Or did police and other forces try to intercept Fano fighters who were returning from Lalibela? Since fighting happened outside Moja city, it seems that the security forces were waiting for Fano fighters to pass through this area. So they tried to carry out an ambush on Fano fighters. That is how I think this incident happened. No statement from Fano officially so far. No statement from Amhara regional government so far, but Moja city police chief has been injured. Police is not in a position to fight against Fano fighters. Police is not that skilled. It's not as heavily skilled and armed as Fano fighters are. Fano fighters have fought against Tigray forces. They fought alongside Ethiopian National Defense Force. And now they're being led by some ENDF members, Amhara Special Force, former Amhara Special Force commanders. They are more equipped, more skilled. Police is no match for Fano fighters. Ethiopian National Defense Force can definitely counter Fano's strength. Fano is not as capable, definitely, as Ethiopian National Defense Force, which is armed with all types of weapons, air power as well. There is no comparison. We shouldn't compare Fano and Ethiopian National Defense Force. At the same time, Amhara regional police is not capable enough to counter Fano factions. A second story is resumption of talks between Tigray interim government and Ethiopian federal government. What is the agenda? The two held talks in Pretoria last year, South Africa, where peace deal was signed. Then they met in Nairobi, Kenya. Now, resumption of talks with new agenda. Pretoria deal saved TPLF. TPLF was declared a terrorist organization in 2021 when war broke out. Before that, in 2020, war broke out in northern Ethiopia. TPLF is a political party, but it was declared a terrorist entity. Both TPLF and OLA, back then Parliament voted, and the two were declared terrorist entities. After Pretoria deal, as is mentioned in the deal, in the agreement, TPLF was removed from the list of terrorist entities. Despite its removal, it was not restored as a political party. So TPLF is not eligible to contest election. Rather, National Election Board of Ethiopia rejected TPLF's request for restoration of its political status. NABE asked TPLF to file a case for a new registration. Meanwhile, a new party by the same name, TPLF, tried to get itself registered, but that request was rejected by NABE. TPLF's properties are frozen too. TPLF refused to apply for a new registration. We saw some statements from the party TPLF saying that the decision was political, that the federal government was violating Pretoria deal. And after Nebbe rejected TPLF's application for restoration of its status, we saw tension between Getachew-Reda's interim government and TPLF. Some TPLF leaders accused Getachew-Reda of being in collusion with Ethiopian federal government. We saw tensions. And we know that before Nebbe's decision, Debretsion held some meetings in Addis Ababa. He held a meeting with PM Abiy, and he asked PM Abiy that the tenure of Tigray interim government should not go beyond 1 year. It should be between 6 months and 1 year. Election should be held as soon as possible. PM Abiy maybe was not happy with this demand of Debretsion. That is why Nebbe, in a decision, refused to restore TPLF as a political party. We saw tensions in Tigray. Then, if you remember, this week we saw rapprochement, reconciliation between TPLF and Tigray interim government. Getachew, Debretsion seen together on 4 different occasions. Even Alim Gebre Wahid, staunch critic of Getachew, was also seen with Getachew on 1 occasion. It means something happened, reconciliation happened. How? Because Tigray interim government is now in talks with Ethiopian federal government for restoration of TPLF's status as a political party. Now, TPLF's case is being taken, it is being supported and discussed by Tigray interim government. So, the misunderstanding between Getachew and TPLF seems to have been resolved for the time being. That is why Getachew Debretsion seen together, Alim Gebre Getachew. So, Tigray interim government has confirmed Professor Kindea, who was very close to Getachew, he has confirmed that Tigray interim government is in talks with Ethiopian federal government. He hoped that the issue would be resolved. Nebbe is being asked to reconsider its decision. TPLF does not want to file case for a new registration. It wants restoration of its status. It wants its properties back. That is why talks being held. Where, who is attending? No details shared by Professor Kindea. Only confirmation is that Tigray interim government is negotiating on behalf of TPLF with the Ethiopian federal government for restoration of TPLF's states. Let's see what happens. Thirdly, viewers, disbandment of special forces has not happened in Ethiopia. In just Amhara region, special forces were disbanded, and federal forces, Ethiopian National Defense Force, entered Amhara region to implement the decision. Special force members were told to hand over their weapons, they were told to report at camps. Though thousands refused to comply with orders and they joined Fano factions. From other regions of Ethiopia, we are receiving pictures, reports that special force members are still operating in special force uniforms. I shared pictures, videos with you from afar, from the Somali region of Ethiopia, where special force members were seen operating in their uniforms. It means there is no disbandment on the ground in Somali Afar regions. Now, a picture for you from where? From Oromia. Oromia has the largest special force, by the way, regional special force. And Birhanu Jula, the chief, military chief, and Ethiopian communication minister said a few weeks ago, that special forces had been disbanded completely. But if they've been disbanded, should they wear special force uniforms or not? They are wearing special force uniforms. A picture for you from Bishoftu. In Bishoftu city, a program was organized by city government, which was attended by an Oromia Special Force commander too. And the picture is from today, I think. Bishoftu Communication Department has shared these pictures on its social media page, showing a special force, Oromia Special Force commander, clad in Oromia Special Force uniform. That is what I can share with you, pictures, videos, showing that special forces are still clad in the uniforms in Somali, Afar, Oromia regions of Ethiopia. Have you seen pictures of Amhara Special Force members operating in the field clad in Amhara Special Force uniforms? I have not seen that. Special Force members, they were told to hand over their weapons. Then they were relieved. They were told that they'll be contacted again for trainings so that they could become part of other forces. And some are receiving training reportedly. Some are going to join federal police, some are going to join regional police, some are going to join prison police. So I have no information, I have not seen a single picture showing Amhara Special Force members, former Amhara Special Force members, clad in the uniforms operating in the Amhara region of Ethiopia. Then why is that regional special forces in Somali, Afar, Oromia regions are operating in the uniforms? It means that target of the decision was Amhara Special Force. There were fears that Amhara Special Force could oppose upcoming decisions likely to be made by Ethiopian federal government, like disbandment, like future status of Raya Volkait, etc. That is why, in a hurry, the decision was implemented in the Amhara region, but that strategy backfired. We saw start of protests, we saw Amhara Special Force members join Fano. Now Fano factions getting bigger, ASF members joining them, a former ASF commander leading them. It was a very bad decision. Those who made the decision should be held accountable, because that bad decision created foundation for the start of an anti-government armed resistance movement in the Amhara region. Lastly, we are Sudan, where three developments. First one is from Sudan-Chad border. Some sources say number of Sudanese people who have entered Chad so far is now near 400,000. Chadian military is on border, though we have seen clashes between Chadian military and Rapid Support Force members. The Chadian military is conducting evacuation operations on Sudanese soil to evacuate people who are stranded on Sudan side of Sudan-Chad border in Darfur. Several videos, pictures are being shared showing Chadian military vehicles in Darfur evacuating Sudanese people. So I would say that Chadian military's role in helping Sudanese people should be acknowledged and commended. It has not closed its border. Chad has not closed its border. Like some other countries have put in place some very tough restrictions. We heard that South Sudan had closed its border. Egypt put in place some restrictions, but Chadian military is in Darfur evacuating people from the clutches of armed factions operating there, RSF mainly. So that is why hats off to Chadian military. We should appreciate the evacuation operations being conducted by Chadian military in Darfur. Secondly, RSF claimed to have shot down two planes of Sudanese army, though no evidence shared. The Rapid Support Forces claim they shot down a Sukhoi and MiG fighter jets of Sudanese military, Sudanese Air Force yesterday over Durman and other area, but so far no details shared. And lastly, viewers, Rapid Support Forces are trying to take control of CRP's headquarters in Khartoum In southern part of Khartoum, Central, two attacks on CRP's headquarters in Al Kalakala, where this CRP headquarters is based. Several videos are being shared by Rapid Support Force members from the vicinity of CRP. Central Reserve Police is a paramilitary, and its members are from Kordofan, from Darfur. It wasn't part of this war when the war broke out, but gradually CRP members entered Khartoum, though their entry started before the start of war, but gradually they became involved in the war. They were supporting Sudanese army. And when some reinforcements of CRP arrived in Khartoum a few weeks ago, RSF had warned that CRP should not be part of this war. It should stay neutral. But it supported Sudanese military, and now RSF is after CRP. It's base in danger because RSF fighters are sharing several videos showing that CRP's base could fall to Rapid Support Forces in coming days. Two videos shared by Rapid Support Forces from the vicinity of Central Reserve Police Headquarters in southern part of Khartoum Central. Thank you for watching.